Hello, my beauties. What a treat we have today. I am with my dear, beautiful friend, Kim Kaase. Did I pronounce it well?
You did.
Oh my God. And we know each other for some time. I love having deep conversations with her. I would say in my heart, she's an elder of the good quality one. Kim is a mentor and a coach for business owner, and she have walked the path of corporate for quite a long time. However, almost every conversation I have with you, somehow sooner or later, it's either about intuition or about magic or about consciousness or about God.
Yes.
I love the space of prayer that you are holding in your presence. I love the wisdom that you have. And not so long ago, we had this beautiful opportunity that I could be with you in person, and I knew I was waiting for this hug for so long. And that was amazing for me to witness you, the way you listen, the way you touch, the way I want to bring this magic today to our listeners, to the one who are with us. I want to bring your path. I remember one of the beautiful, let me give you a moment to introduce yourself, and then
Oh my gosh. Thank you for all that. I love you so much. And you introduced me beautifully because I do consider myself this bridge because I experience things in terms of the divine, of intuitive. I feel so divinely led. And at the same time, I'm 57. I spent way over half my life in corporate America where I didn't experience myself at that, although I felt a tug underneath. And so I feel so much of the work that I now do in the world is with people they're really sharp and smart and intellectual but their next level, they can't do more of that. It's burning them out. They know there's something more. And so I just see myself as this bridge to being led by something much bigger than us as individuals and getting back in touch with our souls and having intuition speak every day. I just feel like that's why I'm here.
yeah, and you do
Yeah.
that so beautifully.
Thank you.
How I want to speak about so many things with you, but now what comes strong is, how is it? How was it? How is it to work with huge men, masculine, that are so anchored in what needs to be done, in Excel files, in all of those very limited, logic-oriented design, pre-designed moves, super calculated, we could say
Mm-hmm.
heavy energy. How is it to bring intuition into this world? What are you doing there?
It's a fascinating question because it really, like, something started when I just started corporate when I was like 23 years old that followed me throughout my corporate career. And this thing that followed me throughout my corporate career, I seemed to, no matter what I was doing, I was a commercial interior designer. So I worked a lot with people in their space, big corporations. And no matter what company I worked at, they would somehow, I would always get assigned the really type A alpha, like the, the back then, the meanest person ever. And this followed me. And somehow, like, my last big corporate job before going to where I became VP of sales, I was at Enron and they gave me some of the hardest men to work with. And those guys were really tough. Like, they were trading all this. It was very complex what they did. And they were really harsh at times. But somehow when I walked into the room, something softened. And I'm not saying they went into puddles, they didn't. But somehow I could communicate with them because I wasn't trying to meet them with their vigor. There was a,
Yeah.
even back then, I wasn't even in touch with this, but it was, so I was effective with people who were rooted in that area. So fast forward to the work I do now is I understand that world because I was the person who was pretty type A and rooted in what was logical, rooted in my intellect. I'm a sharp cookie. Like I know how to use my intellect. But my trajectory was the last few years I was in corporate in 2010, 2011. I was so overusing those skills and so underutilizing my intuition that I landed in the hospital 2 years in a row on Christmas.
Speaking
That's
about
how
wake up call.
but I didn't but I didn't wake up. Like that's how, so this is how I can work with these people because I didn't even wake up then, really. It took me a couple more years to actually wake up.
But after that, did you realize that was a wake up call?
I now do. So what happened was I knew that I needed to do something more that was expressive. I wanted to be a coach because I'd experienced coaching. I started my coaching business in 2012, and this is worth sharing. So I changed my life completely. I went from like having a paycheck and a job and this and like speeding in to pick up my son at 6 p.m. to, oh, I chose my clients and I did work that I absolutely love. And I'd pick my son up at 3 p.m. every day and I set my own hours. Like everything had changed. But I was sitting at my desk one day in my home office in 2014 and I noticed, oh my gosh, I'm just as stressed out as I used to be. And I thought, that makes no sense. That, like, God spoke to me, and I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. I changed all of these circumstances, but I feel like I'm in a pressure cooker. So there's something quite, and God spoke to me and said, keep your eyes and ears open. There's something you don't realize yet. Okay. And when I hear that clearly, I know to listen. And within about 3 weeks, God put in the path something that I hadn't come across yet. And it's so much about how the mind works that we're never, ever really responding to our circumstances. We're responding from the inside. But I didn't know that back then. And it
Yeah,
changed my life. It
of
changed my
course.
life. Of course.
It gave you life.
It gave me life. And so that changed the entire trajectory of my business, of course, because then once I had that realization and that insight and it became embodied in me, I couldn't not share that with other people. And that's when I actually really started working mainly with business owners because what happens is business owners, we use all of our intellect, we grind, we will really push. And then there's a point that you can't do anymore. You see the next level, but doing will not get you there. We know this, right?
Yeah,
And so
you
that just
try.
became, yeah, it doesn't work. And so that then has become my life's work.
Yeah. That point, and I feel that this is so crucial when we speak about it, when we speak about business, it's really easy to say, oh, this is when you start manipulating. This is when you start pushing even more. This is when you think, okay, if I take more, if I will take more, if I will take more assistance, if I will take more project, like you try to move the furnitures in the room and you cannot figure out what is really happening. And it's easy to see that in business, but it goes to relationship the same. You try to change some things by changing them outside and it never works. It can work for a short period of
Short
time.
period. Yep. Short
It
period of
can
time.
work. Then you repeat the lesson and the lesson come back again and the lesson come back again and it will come back again. I was just giving a live session now about this. I said there's the going upward spiral. It's when you take the lesson, you complete, you move to the next one. You take the lesson, you complete, you move to the next one. The rest of the people who are not really moving into completing this life lesson are thinking that they are in spiral, but they are just repeating themselves and they're waking up to see, I just took other people to play the roles that the other people that I had before were playing. It's just whether the weather was changed is different, but nothing more than that. So can you share? Do you feel that you can share? How do you bring people from the corporate or business owner, how do you introduce them this realization that they are creating everything inside out?
Yeah. Oh boy, that's such a great question.
I don't know
You
if
know,
there's an answer, yeah?
it's, I can tell you the way that over the years has worked best in doing that. And I've tried a lot of different ways, a lot of methodologies that I've come up with. But here's what honestly works the best. I was just talking about this on a live. It's when I love human beings. I know you know this because you've been around for like I love people and I like really love my clients and I love diving into deep conversations with them. So the way I do this is I start all my clients on a one-to-one retreat with me. And what I know is that if I show up and that other person shows up and that person is somewhat receptive, and sometimes I need to massage them a little bit to get them receptive, that what I'm pointing out with our experience being created from the inside out, because it's true, that's on my side.
Yeah.
When we're pointing at something that's true, man, we've got one up already. Because it's not like I'm trying to convince them of something that is a theory or whatever. It's actually true. So that's on my side. So I have a lot of confidence in that. So part of this is just lived experience and the confidence. But there are a lot of ways to point at this, but a lot of times it's showing someone, having a conversation with them that shows them like what they've done up till now hasn't changed anything. Like that's pretty revealing, but people don't think about their experiences in that way reflectively very often. And
Yeah.
I think what I'm good at, and I know you're so good at this too, is getting people reflective, getting them out of thinking about things the way they've always thought about them and gone, whoa, if I looked at my situation and I was on the mountaintop, that's a really different perspective. And I know if we look at their situation from the mountaintop, they're going to see something different. And then I can always count on them having their own insight because it happens
Yes.
too often, right? It's not
Yeah,
really what I say.
exactly. This is the beautiful thing, that those type of people specifically are people who know and are curious, right? To think different and to innovate and to create. The comfort zone is repeating what we know. This is
Yes.
the real comfort zone. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. The pattern is coming back. And I feel that every business owner in some way decided to become a business owner because there is this urge of creativity alive within. There is this innovation, this curiosity, this interest into what there is beyond. And if they are, and I know that this would not be a word that you would use, but I feel that would be an appropriate word, if they are being initiated to the truth through you in this one-on-one experience, now they get all the juices flowing, and because it is the truth, have something. The truth is the most simple thing. It just know how to flow and be everywhere.
Yes.
Everything else, right? Everything else is complicated, but the truth is the most simple thing. And then I believe that they are experiencing this beautiful level of relief because they've been initiated to the truth.
Yes. On some level, what I've known from the beginning is when someone shows up in my space, I know what they're there for. And it's not always what they say, right? It's not always that, oh, I want my next level. I want to make more money. Like, it's not always that. It's what they're really there for is to know themselves more deeply, to commune with God, to make that connection real again. And
Yeah,
I
not to
know
keep.
what happens when that happens.
Yeah, yeah. Which is
Yeah.
the opposite then, being the only one responsible, having everything on your shoulder, moving with this heaviness that really takes life away from you.
Yes.
You're not
Yeah,
running a business, the business is running you.
exactly. Exactly. And that's just not and I think people are waking up more and more to, wow, this is no way to live. I think one of the blessings of what happened in 2020 is people started to wake up even more. What have I been doing? What have I been doing? So this
Yeah.
conversation I know that you have with your clients, that I have with my clients, it's where when I first started talking about this 10 years ago, like it was not an idea whose time had come yet. It was it felt like an uphill. But now it's really an idea whose time has come. Like people are really
Yeah.
seeing, oh, wow,
Yeah.
I see what happens when I take my foot off the gas.
It's so beautiful. It's just the feeling when you're saying it. Just that. This is one of the things that I love with you so much, that sometimes you say it's just a normal sentence, but there is such a magical charge in it. Because I could just feel, relax, take yourself out of the equation so you can bring your heart and your soul into the equation, right? Take the ego out of the equation, bring the magic into the equation. You are still part of everything that is happening, but it's not you. It's
Yeah.
through you.
Yes. Yes. And it's fascinating because like I know for me, when I started coaching in 2012 full time, like the thing that I said, you'll laugh at this. I don't think I've ever told you this, but I
Tell me.
said, whatever I do, I'm not going to be one of those woo spiritual people. Right? Like I thought, whatever I do, which is fascinating, right? Because it's exactly what I needed,
Yeah.
and then what my whole work is. But I'd been indoctrinated in a system where everything that was rewarded in me was my smarts. What I learned, how do I do this? How do I've got it. Here are these steps, here are the steps. Yet inside, like I was so empty. And now I'm just full. I'm just full of joy and I love
Yeah.
to overflowing.
I feel this is correct because it's still empty. Do you know what I mean? It's still empty, but it's not dumped and void and like it's not. It's still empty, and at the same time, it's overflowing.
Yes.
So
So
strong and so
beautiful.
beautiful, and such a beautiful surrender that I know that you keep on doing, surrendering more and more. I want to
More.
take this story that was one of the moments that I was like, oh my God, she's gorgeous. When you told me that you heard God saying to you, stop.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. And you're right. It's surrendering over and over. This was in 2021. I had, like many people, taken my business more online in 2020 and learned what I needed to learn to do that. And I think I was pretty successful with it for being a beginner, not really knowing what I was doing. But I got in this cycle of this launching a masterclass, launching of this, launching of that. And it was a cycle. It wasn't from here, even though some of the classes were from here, but the cycle was very much here in my head. And in November 2021, I was launching a leadership class and I was sitting in my office and God said, stop. And I had a lot of people sign up for this leadership class, by the way. It was 30 or 40 people. And God said, no, only my direction. And
For
okay.
2 hours. Okay, God, I gotta stop for 2 hours. Okay, three
I thought,
days.
yes. I thought probably by January, I'll have exact direction on what to do. And I'm going to tell you, it really was something that took a while to unfold, of just really following what dropped in for me and not pushing anything. It took over a year, actually. I don't like to tell that part because people go, oh my gosh, I don't have a year to waste. But again, I think for this to be embodied in me, that's what it took for me. Because again, like even at my level of surrender, there was still a lot of ego in what I was doing. And so I just had to, so really for that whole year of 2022, I was listening. And one time I did launch something that was my idea and it flopped.
I remember.
It flopped. I had 4 people sign up, 2 people came up. Like it was not good. And thank goodness I have a lot of kind of in real life clients and that like I wasn't doing nothing, but I was doing what dropped in. But I was like, okay, got it. I'm not gonna do anything. So it just has taken some time to integrate doing business in that way. like really being divinely led. What does that really look like on a day-to-day basis? I never know. I sit down and I'm quiet in the mornings and I find out each day.
Yeah. Yeah. But what is more courage than that?
Yeah.
What is more courageous than I am led by the unknown? Aren't we all? So at least let me be truthful with that. I am led by the
Yeah.
unknown. I'm
Yes.
making love with the unknown every single day, all day long. We need
Yes.
so much security. And I remember, I don't know if it was with you that I had this conversation that I said, if I sign up to the class and I see too much information about what is going to be in the class, I don't want to go to the class. It's already written. It's like, I don't want to go there. Why should I go?
Yes.
What's going to really take me to the next level? What will be elevating? What will be transformative if
Yeah.
it's already set? Go straight, turn to the right, then go left. There's no innovation in that. There's no mastery in that.
Yes.
There's no
Yes.
presence. There's no purpose even.
Yes. Yes. But this speaks to a level of consciousness. When we're divinely led or mostly divinely led at that level of consciousness, we don't want to know everything that's in the class, of course, right? Of course, because there's no juice in it. However, the thing that I think is fascinating with business is that the majority of the planet, and this is not better or worse, by the way, these levels of consciousness, the majority of the planet is more on either an intellectual level or a lower level, right? This kind of needing to know level is very popular in business. So it's an interesting dance, I think, as we develop clients, especially for what I feel like I'm here to do, to be that bridge of how do you weave that artistry so that people find you when they're ready. And yeah, because it's two different languages, really. It's two different languages in business.
Yeah,
If a divinely led person versus someone who's more at this I've done well with my intelligence.
yeah. But I feel there's something that of course, we cannot make it so flat, but I also feel that it's really important that we will inspire in a way that if that would be like, imagine there's a ball, in that case, luminous, shining from the center to all direction without differentiation, consciousness. And then on it, there's a skin, mask, thicker or thinner, that type of consciousness or the other type of consciousness, it's really irrelevant. It's all a mask, it's all a skin, it's just a fashion. And it's just like a false security that one is buying, thinking that they are playing the real deal, but actually operating on what I know, playing within the zone of familiarity, and not necessarily having this happiness and joyful experience of really being alive. And then, as you're staying in this mask, as you're staying in this shield, probably, that you build upon your consciousness, upon truth, and you try to, the same that you try to fix your business, then you try to fix your life, right? Let me find a
Mhm.
lover. Let me go to that and that event. Let me do that and that. Let me get that shield working for me. So it does not really matter what is the costume, what is the skin. It doesn't really matter, because once you passed through that, with a mentor or without a mentor, you're sitting on the fountain of life.
That's so beautiful what you just said.
And it might
'Cause it
take a
is.
moment, right? It might take a moment to feel that you're comfortable in it, and then maybe you want to go deep in it. It's just removing this skin.
Yes. And the thing that's so interesting about the removing of the skin, like people can feel that. Like they can really feel if my skin is removed, they can feel like it's palpable and yours as well. And that's what like a lot of people who have hired me over the years always just say, I don't know, I just know I need to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I tried a lot of different kind of marketing things, but like honestly, most people say, I don't know, I just have this, I have a nudge. Like I can't get it off my mind, or it's
I dream
fascinating.
about you. For me, it's like I dream about you. I cannot stop thinking about you. I hear your voice in my head.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
don't really hear my voice in your head. What you hear is the echo of your longing
Yes. Oh,
as
yes.
my voice. It's not,
Beautiful.
you don't hear my voice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah, and it needs, I feel that for the people to, this is why this podcast name, The Calling. Because I was thinking to myself, like, what would be the thing that I can put there out loud that will be really a conversation for people? And that would be like an entry point. And the entry point is listen to the calling. If you're not able to listen to your own calling, if you hear, for example, my voice in your head, and you're not buying the ticket, if you see a pointing there, if you feel inside that you're just in more effort and you're not surrendering,
Yeah.
if you're not able, the number one thing is answer your calling.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's really beautiful to work in that space with people. I met a woman in December. I was out in California working with a client team, and I was coming back. It was really early on like a Friday morning, and I get on this plane at 7 a.m., really early. I was flying Southwest, so the seats were not assigned. And I heard God sit next to her. I'm like, but I don't want a middle seat. Sit next to her. Okay. So I sit next to her. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know why I'm sitting next to her because I don't talk to people on planes anyway. I got settled. And then I had the intuition talk to her. I'm like, oh, but I don't talk to people on planes. I just like to be in my own little. And I started chatting with this lady, and we had the greatest conversation. It was an hour and a half, the whole flight. And she said, I would really like to keep in touch with you. I've loved this conversation. And it started this beautiful. I talked to her again this week, and it reminded me about what you're saying about the calling. She just, I don't know. I just know I'm supposed to be in your life, and you're supposed to be in my life,
Yeah. So
and
much power.
it's so much power. It's so much power.
And those things cannot be explained. How can you explain the level of power and potency and presence and the real life? How can you explain? Now I'm using so much power, and you and I, we know what it means. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming that many of the people who are listening knows what it means.
Yes.
But then our calling is to go deeper with that. Go deeper, another day and another day, more in the risk, more in the unknown, more with it. Go
Yeah.
deeper in it, go more with it, listen more. Which is again one of the things that I love you, like in the Punta Cana, one of the things that really touched me. I say it like that, I feel that the art of healing and coaching and mentoring is the art of listening.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to listen? We're 80% done.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
you don't supposed to be listening to what the person is saying, and you're not also supposed to listen to what the person is not saying in that sense, because seeing and not seeing will still be the same, right? But you're supposed to listen to from where the person is speaking,
Yes.
from where this person is saying or not saying several things.
Yeah.
And just this that I'm bringing here now, I feel that is so much connected to what you were sharing about the business, right? It's I do know, and then I want to do something more, and I want to do something innovative. No, it's like from where you do it from the
Yes.
right place, and the path is open. Do it
Yes.
from within. Do it from yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And that's it. My coach training, actually, I did an advanced certification in just what you're talking about. That's what the entire thing was about for several years, which was, where are you listening from? Where are they speaking from? What, like, it was all that. 80% of our training was that. And it's, yeah, like that. At the time, I didn't fully appreciate it. Because I was still like, when are you going to teach me how to enroll clients or whatever I was. concerned about. Probably that, because that would always be. But now I've gotten this really fresh appreciation of it over even just the last year. Ooh, yeah, that this is 10 years later coming back and going, I think when we were in Punta Cana, it really dawned on me like, oh yeah, this is how I listen. I take it for granted sometimes.
Yeah. Many
Mm,
times we take our most gifted part for granted.
yes.
Yeah. So I love the way that you're listening. I love that because it's like you're listening to in such a nuance. And I feel that when you're in the space of someone who is able to listen to the thin air, do you know, like listen before you exhale, we can say. Listen while the person inhaling. That by itself command you to speak differently.
Yes. Yes.
You know that every word is taken into consideration.
Yes. It's there's I often say, like in some of my sessions, if someone were watching, it's a little bit like watching paint dry because I'm guided to leave a lot of space. And I know when I was a young coach, I wanted to fill the airspace. I thought that was proving like I need to say something really valuable here. But now I know there's so much value in just finding the frequency, finding what's really driving what the person is saying or how they're viewing their situation, and then using as few words possible so that I don't get in the way of their insight.
Yeah. Keith, there's something interesting that I want to bring here. It's quite personal, but I think we can handle that. When we started meeting today, one of the things that I had this click, 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 why every time that I hear you speak, I feel that you need to be on stage. And now when you're speaking about the listening and like that you were well trained to be in the position of listening, to be in the position that is just giving space or creating space for others, I believe that with that magic, you can still be on stage.
Interesting.
Because I feel that if everything was orchestrated, everything is orchestrated, you need to rehearse and play the music. It is already recorded inside of you, inside of your cells, and then you can just show up. Of course, with an art, it's an art to play something that is written in a way that moves you. You still need to move the energy through you. But then there's another art, which is like more like an improvisation, jazz. You are an artist in the listening and in you inhale. What I feel many times when I sit in classes, what I feel is that I inhale what my students are bringing to the space, and what I exhale is relevant to them because intentionally I'm inhaling their
Yeah.
breath. I don't take it for granted that we're breathing the same air.
Right.
This is channeling.
Yes. Yes. And I really hear you when you say speaker. And I think one of my hesitancies, and I think a new possibility is opening up as you're speaking, is that because I do listen so deeply, I envision myself at times in a room of whatever 100 people, and I'm on the stage and I'm deeply listening. It's a lot to take in. But I also feel at this point, oh yeah, it's time to do that now. Where maybe
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago, I wasn't quite, it would feel a bit overwhelming to me perhaps, but I feel like what you're saying is it's time.
Yeah. And listening to 100 people is still listening to one.
True. That's so true. There's only one of us. It's
It's
so true.
still listening to one. There is one thing in the room. And it doesn't matter if it is 100 or 1,000. It is one in the room. And as calmer we are with the fact that there's only one, I
Mm.
like to say it in the way that I love to sit on the teacher chair and keep the chair empty.
That's a great way to say it. That's a great way to say it. And what just occurred to me is I was just doing a live a little while ago about one-on-one versus groups and how to get the most out of mentorship and coaching. And what I realized, oh, it's all one-on-one.
It's all one-on-one.
It's all one-on-one.
Yeah. Do you know one of the
I
things,
love
the
that.
magic that happened to me in Punta Cana, like why the integration was so deep and long for me, for everyone, is because this quality of everyone is, there were many people giving different perspective, not necessarily all together as
Right.
one, but then as it was integrated within me, it became one voice.
Yes. That was my experience as well. It was challenging to have all the perspectives like in real time in that moment. But my sense was, okay, this is all going to weave together. And I left myself some space and time when I got home to really let it work its way in.
Yeah.
So beautiful. This is such a beautiful conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for your beautiful presence, and I'm so happy and grateful for our friendship and connection.
I love you so much.
Thank you, my love.